It is a massive business. We're kind of riding a wave of ideas and innovation. It's like a 21st century family bonding experience.
Play dead.
It's like, look, Mom, mother of two, we know that you don't want to play these Atari games anymore, so let's give you some puzzle games, or let us give you some casino games or some word games.
I think it's almost like a golden age for the gaming player.
It's not just, young guys that are into gaming now.
Technology is no longer just this box that sits across the room from you. Technology is everywhere. Games are everywhere.
Everyone's a gamer.
Generation Gamer, life plugged in.
From the phone in your pocket to the tablet or console your kids want, there is no escaping this reality. Video games are everywhere. Welcome to Generation Gamer, Life Plugged In. I'm Rob Piercy. New research from the NPD Group shows 91% of kids 2 to 17 years old play video games in the U.S. That's probably no surprise to you, but how about this? The Entertainment Software Association says the average age of a gamer is actually 37 years old, and the average game buyer is 41. During the next half hour, those inside the video game industry will show us everything from new technologies to how games change the lives of sick kids in hospitals, and explain why the line between those who call themselves gamers and those who don't has disappeared.
Smooth jazz will be deployed in 3, 2, 1.
So in some industries, it's possible to think of, a company being separate from its customers. In video games, it really doesn't work that way.
We wanted to turn the gaming experience from a solo experience to instead making it a social family experience with your friends, with your family, even with people like your grandma or grandpa that never have played video games before.
You can just think of it in terms of, if you're playing a multiplayer game, the fun is coming as much from the other people playing as it is from the game itself.
Nothing bad's going to happen when you enter our world. And our world is social, mobile, and online.
Really, gaming is just everywhere, and we want to be everywhere as a business.
My, you have been busy.
Gamers are not necessarily playing for hours on end anymore. You have more casual gamers that may be playing in snack size increments or just for 10, 15 minutes at a time to get their gaming fix.
The demographics of somebody who's playing a Call of Duty game and the demographics of somebody who's playing Farmville, they're very different.
Nowadays, a game like Call of Duty or a Battlefield game involves thousands of developers. It's like making a major motion picture.
Now games are digitally downloaded. You can get add-on content digitally. You can play on your smartphone. You can play on your cell phone. You can play on the computer on a social network game.
We have more than 2/3 that game online at least once a week. We have a great social game platform called PlayStation Home, where you can customize your avatar down to your pro speed if you want.
But with Facebook and their 700 million users, they have provided a massive audience by which we can go in and drop a game and put a lot of fun multiplayer social features into the game. So as people are playing, they can interact with one another.
Games now are a service. Consumers expect their friends to know what's going on. They expect leaderboards to happen. They expect to know what their other friends are doing in the games.
Casual gaming is huge. And I know in people's heads what they think of when they think of a gamer. They're thinking, hardcore, they've got their, 42-gallon of soda right there and their snacks there and they're playing this game where they're killing other people virtually. Yes, that's a gamer. But there are far more people who are gaming using these devices, these handheld devices, specifically their phone, and just playing like this, okay? And then they can pick it up, put it down, and they don't have to think much about it.
Now, gamers are everyone, younger people, older people, majority of gamers are women now. So you're seeing this really broad adoption, mainly because people got phones with them all the time.
If the iOS devices and the Android devices keep getting more powerful, these devices do everything.
The way gaming used to be done was there was so many buttons on the controller that it could become intimidating for someone that was new to gaming, and they would be afraid of looking foolish, really, when they played.
The most expensive game I'm going to play on my iPhone costs $5, and the cheapest game I can play on my Nintendo DS is $30. Well, which would I rather have?
It used to be that you looked for games in the store and you made a decision sort of sight unseen. Now, many games on iPhone and Android are free. You download those games. If you like it, you buy some currency in the game. That's a great model because if you're a player, you can spend money on the games you like. You don't get stuck with the game that, oh man, I really wish I hadn't spent $20 on this game, on this cartridge.
You don't think it's going to be a great business model, but for free-to-play for us, we allow somebody to try the game first. And then it's really up to the game to essentially draw that person in.
So the fact that you look at something like Connect and the effect that that had, not only in our business, but it's changed how people create games. It changes how people think about entertainment. And you take technologies like that and you take an industry where there's a lot of really smart people and a lot of innovation happening. Things move really fast and people create amazing experiences with that.
I think now it's becoming incredibly obvious that gaming is, 70-year-old people who are playing games with their kids, and moms and dads and 4-year-olds playing on their parents' iPods, and
so I think that sometimes that becomes the perception of gaming is it's a children's thing, and that people with scruffy gray beards like myself don't do that, and therefore we don't need to worry about adult entertainment.
That's the way it is, and that's the way it's always been, okay?
The important thing is that you not ever look down on gamers because they like one type of gaming experience versus the other. If you create an intelligent, interesting, thought-provoking, well-designed game for anybody, they're going to respond. And it doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes that they want to play or a couple of hours.
And you have to keep sort of putting that carrot out in front of people that they are feeling like they're successful, they're accomplishing something.
Great work. You basically have to, exactly like TV, is you have to grab that audience within 30 seconds to a minute. And they have to be compelled to do more.
And people have a million choices about what's right for them and for their family. There's, different genres, different ratings, different form factors.
As a mom, I'm really excited for Sesame Street episodes where it recognizes what my kids are saying. So it's actually interacting with them and they're learning as they go.
Well, it's funny because almost now when you'll talk to somebody about how they like to play games, everyone would like their games to be social. It's just now that the technology is available for the games to be social.
And now with like iOS and mobile smartphone devices, people are able to buy their game anywhere they are in the world.
This is a computer, and many people don't understand that. They say, why would I need to get one of those phones? My phone works fine. This is not just a phone.
The rate of change seems to be picking up. And that's both terrifying and exhilarating.
Some of these game genres are pretty new, and I think none of us know how far they can go.
Here's some food for thought. The Entertainment Software Association also tells us in 2010, people spent more than $25 billion on video games, hardware, and accessories. Still ahead, we go beyond the living room to see how gaming changes the lives of kids in hospitals.
They may not be able to go out and run and play and score a goal in soccer anymore, but they can get a high score. They can beat their dad at a racing game, or they can, solve a puzzle with their mom.
And a little bit later, how the industry has reinvented itself and what developers have planned next.
Hello, I'm Tracy-Mark, video game reporter for NWCN.com, and here are some new games to check out. Be sure to pick up Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword for the Nintendo Wii. You'll also want to check out Dungeon Defenders for the PC, Xbox 360, PS3, and mobile. If you own a PlayStation Portable, you might like the game Fate Extra. And don't miss Minecraft for the PC and mobile platforms. I reviewed all these games and more. Just go to nwcn.com/games.
The scientists who actually gave us the structure have been working on it they told us, over a decade.
In just a few weeks, gamers did what lifelong biochemists couldn't. They unraveled the structure of an AIDS-related protein in monkeys. It could help develop anti-AIDS drugs. A game developed at the University of Washington called Fold It led them there.
We now have a couple others where Fold It players are making real breakthroughs in the area of research we do, not only predicting structures of proteins, but designing brand new ones.
It's a trend sweeping universities nationwide.
using games for research, diagnosis, even treatment.
So the PE game is a really unique project.
At the University of Utah, Professor Roger Althusser helped create this superhero game for kids with cancer.
What the kids see is a superhero who's sort of been damaged fighting his arch nemesis. And each time he does something special for them, he gets a little bit healthier and healthier.
Althusser says early results not only show the kids feeling better after playing,
watch, Jake, watch,
but they want to be active despite their sickness.
So this game not only motivates them to get exercise, but it also sort of says, you will get healthier, you can beat this disease. And they see themselves getting stronger on screen and beating their disease.
You can find out more about Folded and the University of Utah game on our webpage, nwcn.com/games. Both show how gaming can go beyond entertainment to really make an impact in people's lives. And as we found out, just begins to tell the story of how the video game industry gives back.
What are you waiting for? Come on, get to humblebundles.com.
Humble Bundle is a pay what you want promotion for independently developed video games. And 30% of the proceeds for each purchase go to charities. One of the charities is Child's Play.
This is the folder of thank yous, the folder of good feelings. Essentially, Child's Play was founded in 2003 by Mike and Jerry. There was an article written that painted gamers in a pretty negative light. You know, we have a convention, we spend time with all of these people.
Welcome to PAX, ladies and gentlemen.
And we know that's not them. Let's do something that really shows it. And so that's how Child's Play was initially started, and the response was really incredible. Frankly, after the first year, that wasn't really our goal. You know, we realized that, yeah, hopefully it'll change the perception, but the overall is getting the toys to the kids, and that's a reward in itself. So it started with Seattle Children's Hospital, and now we have 70 facilities worldwide that we benefit. This is from New Zealand, and we have Detroit, Michigan, we have Portland, Oregon. It gives the kids accomplishment. You know, they may not be able to go out and run and play and score a goal in soccer anymore, but they can get a high score. They can beat their dad at a racing game, or they can, you know, solve a puzzle with their mom, and it gives them that same emotional response of I'm doing something, I'm learning something, and they get to be a kid. And that emotionally is huge, because when you're surrounded with needles and IVs and all of that icky stuff, it is really hard to remember what, you know, having a childhood is like.
I kind of like to say that a Child's Play charity, you know, takes games and applies them to sort of make the world a better place for these kids.
Hospitals work very hard to get the funds to have medicine and treatment for kids, but it's not always easy to get funds for things that are going to make their quality of life better. In terms of the technology, not only has the multiplayer made a huge difference, but the motion games like the Kinect and the Wii and the PlayStation Move, they are able to use that as physical therapy. Giving kids physical therapy is difficult because physical therapy is about repetitive motion, and it gets very boring and very tedious and can be very painful. These are the parts where I tear up. This is a letter of a donation in honor of a very good friend of a group of people, and he actually passed away. And in honor of him, they did a fundraiser, and he was so passionate about Child's Play that they donated to us. So the industry is just growing and growing and growing, and as the industry grows, Child's Play grows.
Jamie from Child's Play tells us one of their biggest fundraisers each year is something called Desert Bus for Hope. Gamers sign up to play the 1995 game, where in real time, you're challenged to drive a bus for 8 straight hours. Coming up, how video game designers plan to usher in a new renaissance.
Finally, the video game looks better than the box art, and it wasn't always the case. It was, in fact, very much just the opposite. You know, it's like, oh, this video game's going to be awesome, and you get in, it's like, boop, boop, boop.
And the industry's challenge to not leave the old style of gaming behind. Plus, a look inside the market for vintage games that's more popular than you might think.
Hi, Tracy-Mark, video game reporter for NWCN.com here again. Let's talk peripherals. If you think your living room is too small for the Kinect, consider the Nyko Zoom. Another product fighting game fans might love is the 8-Arc 360 Onyx joystick for the Xbox. For the iPad and iPhone, be sure to check out the game Space Camp. And finally, for PC, 360, and PS3 fans, you'll all love The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. For reviews of these products and more, check out nwcn.com/games.
It's still like the Wild West, so there's a lot of very new, fresh thinking, new players, new companies coming into being, and so I kind of think we're in another renaissance period.
Welcome back to Generation Gamer Life Plugged In. I'm Rob Piercy. The days of the big game companies creating all the content you buy are over. Small independent developers now create games and apps by the thousands, and both sides know that now more than ever, innovation is key.
If a friend needs encouragement, I can brighten their day with the gift of sun or rain. When we started MindBloom, Wii Fit had just come out, and it proved that people wanted a more engaging way to improve their health. So that includes your relationships, your career, finances.
I think the idea of what a game is evolving. I mean, traditionally, the game is created, this is the way it is, this is what you do. And, that gets old. I mean, there's not much replayability in that versus a game that adapts over time or, better yet, allows you to co-create the game.
If you look at solo player games, they took about 20 years to evolve and settle out who the key leaders were and what the kind of gameplay styles were. With the massively multiplayer genre, it took about 10 years for us to evolve the kinds of games and the product styles and even the corporations that were kind of leading that effort.
Using your voice to control TV and movies, using your body in ways to interact with games that people haven't done before.
We've already seen people responding really well to this. In my own house, my 2-year-old came in the room the other day and said, "TV on." I don't think she quite gets yet that voice control doesn't quite go that far yet.
I mean, you can't interact with a television today as well as you can like a video game console, which in many ways is the new television itself.
Mom might want to stream a movie from Netflix on a Friday night. His sister may want to check out Facebook, or he may want to just take a break and pop into PlayStation Home and talk to a bunch of his friends.
What we're trying to do with Wii U is take it to the next step. It's actually a screen right in the controller itself, so you have two different gaming views that you can look at.
If you're building a game today, you've got to be building it for an international audience. If you look at a lot of the games you play, you notice there's a very reduced use of text in the game. You can pick up Angry Birds even if you don't speak English and figure out how to play the game very, very quickly.
So the exciting thing is you can build a hit and you can actually achieve massive success. You don't have to be a big console provider. The flip side is there's a lot of people trying to do this.
And it's kind of like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all those in the 90s. Now you've got PopCap and 343 Studios and Valve and all these other kind of amazing studios, indie studios, and all these people in their 20s who are like super attuned to geek culture.
If you're not ready to reinvent your company every 5 years or 7 years, you cannot exist in this business. You have to be willing to do that.
So with all this new technology, there might seem to be no room for the classics, right? Well, as it turns out, much like the comebacks of vinyl and cassette tapes, the vintage gaming business has become more than just a niche market. Behind its bright pink facade,
Thanks for calling Pink Gorilla University location. How can we help you?
Pink Gorilla is sort of like a video game graveyard. Only this isn't where old games go to die. It's where they're given new life. New owners.
Here's your receipt.
Awesome.
A lot of them want to go back and relive some of the old stuff that existed before and try out these games they've heard about.
Pablo Smith manages Pink Gorilla. They've got the old games and systems you've heard of, like Atari and ColecoVision, and some you probably haven't. The Odyssey 300, Nintendo's TV Game 15, and this, what you might call a prehistoric Game Boy, the Vectrex.
It's one of these items that people really just don't know even existed.
But with a strong and growing retro gamer community, a lot of these consoles and games are being rediscovered, often by people who weren't even born when they first came out.
There's something about having the original system, having the original cart. I mean, I get people in here all the time, just like, you know, their friend may say to them, oh, I emulated that, or I just got this. And their other will comment, yeah, but I gotta have the real deal, man. You know, like, it's just so much better.
Coming up next, how local artist Johnny Nero turns old school gaming beats into new music. You're watching Generation Gamer, live plugged in. And be sure to log on to NWCN.com/games. We have exclusive extended interviews with leading developers across the industry and much, much more.
There are a couple places in the United States that I think are really driving our industry forward, and without question, the Northwest, Seattle, Bellevue, is one of those places.
We really are the center of video game development.
We want to thank all the game designers who talked with us, as well as Chris Perillo, Richard Garriott, and Stephen Heaslip. You can find links to extended interviews with all of them on our website, NWCN.com/games. Also, a very special thank you to Jonathan Updegrove, a.k.a. Johnny Nero Action Hero, for some of the music you've heard throughout this program. We'll leave you now with a taste of how he does it.
How I got into it was my friend introduced me to this band called the Proto Men that used a lot of 8-bit sounds in their music. I found out about the programs LSDJ and the fact that it's just on a cartridge that you can just plug into an old Game Boy. Like, that's all controlled by just the buttons on here. There's a video game out there. It's a light gun shooter you'll find in arcades. It's called Johnny Nero Action Hero. And it just seemed right, since I was working with video game music, that I use that for right now. I'd be happy if I'd be able to do this as just my only job. I think it's a really great form of music, and I really honestly just want to share it with people.